Alright, guys. Right away instant reaction to Tommy Fury schooling Jake Paul and winning a convincing decision over Jake Paul that somehow was a split decision. Alright, so my thoughts are I know I picked Jake to win by TKO, but I told you guys that Tommy was the better boxer. I told you guys in my video that Jake Paul is not good. Tommy Fury really didn't look too good either. He looked alright offensively. He was pretty sound with the combinations, and he had some good pool counters and stuff like that. But his defense is atrocious. His jab hand is far too low. He's definitely there to get caught. All Jake Paul does, all he does, is he starts fights by jabbing to the body every time, and then he starts ducking and chucking in the later rounds. He gets sloppy, he ducks and chucks. I told you guys one of my main points was that Jake Paul is he's only been involved in slow paced fights. Tommy Fury finally made him fight the fastest paced fight of his career. Still not that fast paced of a fight, but a fast paced fight. And Jake was holding on for dear life. He was tired, he was gassed, he was getting hit with combos. One thing I will say about Jake is he was able to shell up pretty well after getting an initial shot and avoid, taking every shot in the combo. So he stayed pretty safe, but boy was he not in that fight really at all. And I cannot believe that one of the judges gave him that fight. And if they would have gave him that fight outright, that would have been pathetic, and I was expecting it. I was texting people during the fight saying, Tommy's obviously got this, but I still think the judges will probably give it to Jake because we know how boxing is, especially when it comes to Jake Paul. But they made the right decision. 2 out of 3 of the judges made the right decision, actually. And here we are. Jake Paul has finally been exposed. Everybody who doesn't know anything about boxing, who was being fooled by Jake Paul, can now see the truth. Jake Paul caught Tommy with a nice jab while Tommy was a little off balance, and he dropped him. It gets a legit drop. And Tommy won the rest of the round, so I don't see how you could make that a 10-8. It's more of like a tie round. And Tommy was putting it on him pretty much the whole fight. Won the first 2 rounds. I gave Jake round 3. Tommy pretty much won every round other than that. The point that they took from Jake was ridiculous. The point they took from Tommy was even more ridiculous. Jake was initiating the clinches, and they took a point from Tommy for holding. It's beyond me. But, yeah, guys, I told you guys. MMA fighters, washed MMA fighters, 50-year-old, 40-year-old, all they do is they learn a couple combinations. They have no idea how to adjust. They walk in a straight line towards a kid with power, and they get knocked out or knocked down. And they get outworked by somebody who's only been boxing for 5 years in a row. What do you expect? If you're an athletic 20-something-year-old kid and you have all the best trainers in the world and you can dedicate 5 straight years to doing nothing but boxing your ass off, you can beat Tyron Woodley in a boxing match. You can beat Anderson Silva at 47 years old in a boxing match. You can definitely I can beat Ben Askren right now. I'd smoke Ben Askren right now. And anybody else that Jake's beaten. You know what I'm saying? So finally, I don't even care about, I usually try at least not to curse in my videos. When it comes to Jake Paul, everybody, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's over now. And can he beat Tommy Fury in the rematch? Hell yeah, he can beat Tommy Fury in a rematch. But it doesn't stop that what we were proven tonight was the truth. He can't fight. The kid can't fight in any facet of a high level. Sure, he can fight in your realm, but in any facet of a high level, he cannot fight. All he has is the ability to duck and chuck, throw that overhand with his eyes closed. He did a little bit of body work. He caught Tommy with a nice lead hook, but Tommy's hands are so low. Tommy relies on head movement. He just twitches his head, which worked for him for the most part, but Jake caught him at some points. Get the microphone away from Logan Paul in the middle of rounds, too, screaming that Tommy's a bitch and he's going to gas out. Was he a bitch when he was putting it on your brother and took his undefeated record? Was he a bitch when he exposed your brother for the fraud that he is? Didn't look like a bitch to me. So, again, this is a nice lesson, guys. That's why you don't talk about people's kids. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't disrespect people saying they're pulling out when they had rib injuries and they're not allowed in the country. I don't understand how you could be scared pulling out for those reasons that were factually proven. He had a broken rib and he couldn't get into the country. He was not scared of Jake Paul. Um, yeah, so I thought Jake would be able to catch him with one because Tommy's so careless on defense. And Jake definitely caught him with a few big shots here and there. But for the most part, Tommy worked him up. Tommy boxed him up. Tommy showed him what staying in the gym for years and years and years, the kind of advantage that you have. Because once you get tired and that initial explosiveness is gone, skill is all that lies left. Sorry, I fucked that up. And Tommy proved that he's got way more skill than Jake. And Jake really has no skill at all. He's got a couple good combos, mainly just praying that that right hand lands. And yeah, guys, so I'm not trying to hear none of that Jake Paul shit no more. He can't beat any of the people he was talking about beating. Like, he might as well go and fight Nate Diaz again, which, I mean, it is retarded, but sure, go fight Nate Diaz. And, yeah, I'm sure KSI is loving this. I saw his little video on Twitter already. Jake Paul and KSI is going to be closer than people think if they still do that fight because Jake Paul can't box. Jake Paul will probably counter KSI early, though, and still put him away. I mean, we'll see. We'll make a video about that. The video is going to be a lot less exciting now, though. I had it planned because I thought Jake was going to win, but I'm not surprised in the slightest. The only thing I am surprised about, that I'm blown away, shocked about, is that the judges did not just give it to Jake anyway. Because we've seen that time and time again in boxing. When there's a cash cow, when there's money to be made off somebody, they try to keep them undefeated for as long as possible. Look at Canelo, lost the first 2 Triple G fights, and they didn't give Triple G either of the fights. When Tyson Fury completely destroyed Deontay Wilder in the first fight, they called it a draw, and so on and so on and so on. It's happened so many times. So I'm very surprised that they gave it to Tommy. I think had the fight have been in the United States, they would have gave it to Jake. I'm happy that they outsourced to Saudi Arabia, and I really hope that the rematch is in the United Kingdom. I really hope the rematch is in London because Tommy earned that from winning tonight. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts about the situation, guys. Uh, yeah, so now we know that Jake Paul is not that good. There's nothing to see here. And yeah, congratulations to Tommy Fury. He gets to go home with a pocket full of cash. I don't think he wound up making that bet to take double the money, but I mean, for his sake, I wish he did. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome, guys. That just happened because I was really getting sick of clearly watching from somebody who understands combat sports, from clearly watching that this kid is not good. But, you know, the casual fans are just so results based. He knocked out Tyron Woodley. He knocked out Ben Askren. He knocked out Nate Robinson. He must be amazing. Shut the fuck up. I'll talk to you guys later. Subscribe.